Today we go over Supreme Leader Snoke in Star Wars The Last Jedi. This is Mike Zero here once again. If you guys are new here to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. I thank you also very much for the kind support that is greatly appreciated. Now, San Diego Comic-Con 2017 ended just a couple of days ago, and we learned a whole ton of new information about Star Wars The Last Jedi, and the upcoming tie-in books, which should be released just a couple of months before the film arrives. In fact, maybe even weeks, so it's coming this fall. Very interesting stuff. One big thing that we did learn about Supreme Leader Snoke in this film is that his vulnerability will be explained in The Last Jedi. And when I heard that, I immediately thought of the big statement by Andy Serkis just before The Force Awakens arrived in theaters. And here's what Andy had to say. He is the actor who portrayed Supreme Leader Snoke, just in case you guys did not know. He had this to say. Supreme Leader Snoke is quite an enigmatic character, and strangely vulnerable at the same time as being quite powerful. Obviously, he has a huge agenda. He has suffered a lot of damage. As I said, there is a strange vulnerability to him, which belies his true agenda, I suppose. So what Andy is implying here is that Snoke has this strange vulnerability, while he is also powerful at the same exact time. And that, to me, tells me that his health could be at risk right now. But when it comes to power, he is a very high figure, alright? He is the supreme leader of the First Order. So, as of right now, for all we know, he is the top of the top within the First Order. And I believe that his health right now isn't at its best, and that could explain as to why he's very much vulnerable. Specifically, we don't know yet, but what's the good news is that we will learn about this in The Last Jedi film itself as to why Snoke is vulnerable. And once we learn his vulnerability, alright, we will learn about his true agenda. So Serkis here definitely just told us in that statement before The Force Awakens arrived that essentially this vulnerability that he has, that's really strange, right? It really belies with his true agenda. Now, a lot of you have been talking about the possibility of him quite possibly being a Force parasite or a Force vampire. Very odd names going around out there. I talked about this in one video, that maybe he's eyeing on Kylo Ren to take over his body. You know, it's a possibility, who knows? But I think Snoke has another agenda. It could have to do with restoring his well-being. I think that's definitely it. I think that what they are doing is they are taking little tidbits from the EU, because they did something like this with Palpatine in the Dark Empire comic book line, where Palpatine is essentially degrading and he wants to go into another one of his clones. So they could do something around those lines where Snoke is very weak and he's looking somewhere, someplace to restore himself back to who he once was. Remember, he suffered a lot of these different injuries and he has a lot of problems, and honestly he's very vulnerable in a strange way, as Andy said. So it's really good to know that in The Last Jedi his vulnerability will be explained, and in that statement, which really didn't get all that noticed, is that, well, you know, his vulnerability, you know, belies with his true agenda. And I think that's amazing. I think that's a very cool idea when it comes to Disney and Lucasfilm, by creating this agenda for Supreme Leader Snoke based on his vulnerability. I like that. I actually really like that. So, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments section. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.